Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of the Spiritual Crash. I am your host, Gethin Mayers, and on this podcast, we talk all things spiritual, all things life, and so much more. Today, we're going to be talking about music and the power of it. Everyone's got a different impression. When I say music, what does music mean to you? I bet you something different came into your mind. And you probably thought of a certain song or you thought of a genre. And it's one of these things that it really excites me to talk about. So I come up with this idea. I didn't, my mom did. But she came up with the idea because she wrote a philosophy recently about music, about how music is connected to the soul. And she got inspired from a few other mediums who's done a philosophy on music. So music is one of these things that is such a broad thing that we can talk for a long time about music and how it affects us, and different musics affects us in different ways, and certain songs are going to bring different memories to different people and different emotions and feelings. So I thought it was a good topic to actually discuss because music is always around us. The sounds and everything is always around us because anything can be music, you know, like a bang on the table. You can find the rhythm in it. Your heartbeat is rhythm. And that's all music really is rhythm. It's just which rhythm are you going with? So music to me has had a big impact on my life. The type of music I used to listen to, it wasn't very good music. I used to listen to like the heavy stuff, you know, the boom, 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 and like the rap and all that kind of stuff, like the proper heavy stuff. And what I found is my mood would shift to the type of music I was listening to. So when I was listening to this kind of stuff, I was a very angry person. I was very sad. I wasn't really sure about my emotions. And I can't really say it was the music, but I switched my music over to a country kind of style music. And as soon as I started listening to like country and like indie and things that would cheer me up, my whole mindset started to shift. I started to feel less angry. I started to be able to release the emotions. So let's dive into it a little bit deeper. So music, like I said, is all about the rhythm, but it also affects our subconscious. So we are what we surround ourselves with. So if we're surrounding ourselves with music that's talking about things that don't really align with us, you know, stabbing, drugs, alcohol, you know, sleeping with multiple women and just not like treating women nicely, or you're just listening to noise where it's just boom, 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 you're going to start syncing up with it. So if we're listening to the high speed kind of like techno kind of stuff, we're going to start syncing up with that kind of stuff, and our life could feel like it's very fast paced, and then we'll just crash because that's what tends to happen when you're listening to that kind of music. So I swapped my music and it really inspired me to you know, make changes and everything like that. But I want to talk about a song in particular. When I was going through my darkest time, there was a song called A-OK by Ty Verdes. And this song is one of the songs that I pretty much owe my whole like getting out of my depressed stage and overcoming my alcohol addiction and my gambling addiction, because like no matter what I was going through, I used to listen to this song on repeat. And it sounds a bit stupid, it sounds a bit silly, but this song I owe so much credit to for the fact that it pretty much saved my life. I would listen to it literally as soon as I got in the car, as soon as I'd go to work, if I was doing anything, because it was me reminding myself that I am going to be okay. I am going to overcome this because I've started to make the choice that I want to overcome it. So the song is A-OK, and my subconscious started to believe that I was going to be A-OK. It was one of them songs that you could listen to on repeat. I would sing my heart out, and because I was singing it, I was making it a reality. So there's also other instances of songs. So songs can make you feel sad. They can remind you of loved ones who's passed away. Cooper Allen, Remember, I'll Always Remember You. Never Not Forget You is one of them that reminds me of my auntie who passed away of cancer, unfortunately. But every time that song plays, I feel so much comfort and love because it makes me feel as if she is around me. Then you've also got songs that bring you happiness, where they would have been in good times, where you feel, yeah, this really reminds me of a really happy time in my life. So like, for instance, what's the song? Do 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 do. Oh, this is that ice gold, my shell shampoo white gold. I can't remember what the name of the song is, but that song, that always reminds me of the times when I was younger and I used to go into the Oak with my mum and my dad, and we used to play pool with like some of the people down there, and it reminds me of those times where they were really good times. Then you've also got like the songs that remind you of bad times where you was going through a bad period in your life. You've also got songs that uplift you. So what I'm trying to say is music can really affect your mood. Music can really control your life. If you're listening to the wrong type of music and you listen to music and then all of a sudden you feel low energy, you feel angry, you feel sad, don't you think it's time to swap your music and listen to something else? Because the longer we keep going in this cycle of listening to this kind of music, yes, you might enjoy it, but if it's making you feel low, it's making you feel sad, it's making you feel angry, that's not really positive for you. It's not really doing you any favors, because we are what we surround ourselves with. And if we're constantly listening to this type of music, it's going to have a massive effect down the line. It might not be in the moment, but it'll have a massive domino effect. So what we got to do, we got to figure out how we can make these changes. Because obviously I know a lot of people, they've listened to songs and it's all they know. It's all they've been doing for all their life. And it was a big change for me. Like I said, I used to listen to the proper beat songs. I listened to very depressing songs. And like, no wonder I felt so sad. And I think it's such a big thing as well, because obviously you have songs at funerals, you have songs at weddings. Music is everywhere. And it's not just a connection to the song. The song, the rhythm, it to go into the soul, it to go into the heart, and it really does affect us. So, what I've learned is anyone can be into music, and what we need to learn is that it doesn't really matter what kind of music we're into. It's about the mindset we have. Have you noticed that for those who drive, when you're driving, if you listen to certain songs, you tend to go faster or you tend to go slower? It's because our music, it has an effect on us. It changes us without us even realizing. I've been guilty of it plenty of times. I've been listening to songs and I've been in such a good mood. I haven't realized that the speed has increased. It's crept up. And I think it's one of these things where we don't realize how much of an impact music actually does to us, how much people listen to music. So I want you to think about, what is your favorite song? What memories does this favorite song give you? Or is one of your least favorite songs as well? So like, there's certain songs I just can't stand, like Angels, Robbie Williams. I've heard it so many times. Oh my God, it drives me insane. But it's one of them songs apparently everyone seems to love, but I just think it's a very overrated song. So that song, it just makes me feel very groggy, So we do have to sing it in church. And that brings me on to my next point. Singing, dancing, listening to good quality music that fills you up. It puts you in such a good mood. It lifts your vibration. So in churches and stuff, a lot of the time you'll hear people singing songs before the demonstration of mediumship. This is to increase the vibration in the room, to increase the energies. And as a working medium, I've gone to some churches, and when the song isn't good, the energy in the room isn't good, and you can really tell. So I've made it my mission that every church I go to, anytime I sing, I might not be the best singer, but let me tell you, I sing my heart out. Because I think it's important to increase the vibrations. And people might laugh at me, but I don't really care. I'm having a good time. My energy's high. You know, if they want to laugh, hey, that's on them. At least they're laughing, you know. I don't care if they're laughing at me, with me. At least they're laughing, because laughing is one of the purest forms. And this is why I feel music You feel it in your soul when you're dancing, when you're just moving your body, you're getting active. It's all because of music. We use music to motivate us. How many of you use music when you go to the gym? You know, you use it to take away from that little voice in your head. Even though I prefer to work out without that music in my head, because then I get to battle that little voice in my head. Even though I prefer going for runs without the music, and I know loads of people, they go for runs with music so they can sync their breathing up, so they can sync their running up to the music. Whereas me, I like to make it a little bit harder for myself. I like to have the challenge. I like to battle that voice in my head. When the voice in my head is telling me, you need to give up, you're hurting, you've got pain. I like the challenge of being like, yeah, let's push through. Whereas when you got music, it drowns it all out. So this is why it's really important what type of music we pick. Really has a really big impact on us. So go and sit down. Go and figure out what types of songs pick you up. What kind of songs drop you down. What music do you go to when you're feeling sad? You know, and that could tell you a lot about yourself. What music gives you your best memory? When you listen to certain songs, how do you make you feel? What memory does it take you back to? Maybe it's a childhood memory. Maybe it's a memory to come. You know? Because at the moment, some songs you listen to and you're just like, yeah, that's a song. And you can't really pinpoint what kind of feeling or anything it gives you. It's just like, yeah, it's on in the background. But just be careful. Just be careful because, again, what we're surrounding ourselves with becomes what we are. It's always listening, your subconscious. Your subconscious is always listening. So if you're always listening about drugs and not having any money and stuff, some people might say music is like a spell. You know, it creates your reality. And I was reading a book recently. It was, well, I wasn't reading it. I was listening to it. It was a Mel Robbins book. And it was called The Hi-Fi Theory. And basically, she was telling us about that there's a little part in your brain. It's like your receptors. I can't remember what it's called. It's like RDS or something. And this RDS is always scanning for things. It's always looking for things to focus on. So, you know, they're saying like, oh, if you focus on looking for red cars, you'll see more red cars. It's because this RDS is basically, that's what it's programmed for. So this is why your brain is able to take so much information in every single day and why we don't remember it unless it's important to us. So when we're telling ourselves like negative things about ourselves or we're listening to bad music, talking about this, that RDS in your head is saying, oh, there's got to be a bit of important information. So if you put that into perspective, so if we're listening to these kind of songs constantly about feeling sad, depressed, we're talking about, you know, drugs, stabbings, all this kind of stuff. If we're constantly putting ourselves into this situation, our RDS is going to be storing onto this. And then maybe this is why we're attracting so much bad in our life. Maybe this is why you're feeling so low all the time. It's because you're constantly surrounding yourself with negatives. You're constantly surrounding yourself with bad energy and you don't even realize it. This is why I don't watch the news or I don't surround myself just watching telly constantly, because 9 times out of 10, they want you to feel that way so that you keep looking for that kind of stuff. They want you to feel very defeated, very out of it. So just have a think about next time you go to listen to music. Is this music picking you up? What are the words actually saying in the music? You know, because it might be like a very jolly tune, but the words might be completely off, and then that's going to be directing your subconscious, your RDS to be looking for more negatives in your life rather than looking for opportunities. It could be programming you to be looking for the obstacles, to be thinking negative, to be, oh, they got this life, I wish I had this life. You know, when you're listening to music about how they're spending all this money on strippers and drugs and they're just throwing cash away, does that make you feel that you feel like you need to be throwing cash away, or you want to be living that type of lifestyle? I don't know. It really gets you thinking. But since coming over to the country music and everything, my soul just feels more full. I feel like I'm looking for more positives, because most country music is about finding like good women, you know, for a long relationship, you know, finding a nice spot to relax, chill. Obviously, most of the country, they are talking about like drinking as well. But I do think that there is that part of me that I'm never going to get away from the drinking, because once an alcoholic, always alcoholic, you know. And I feel like if I ever did go back to the drinking scene, I think it would be a very slippery slope. And yeah, I'm very proud of myself for how I've come, but I do think it's the little things about like changing the type of music and not feeling so angry and recognizing my emotions and being careful of my surroundings. But I'm going to leave it with you. I'm going to leave it with you, and I'm going to ask you, before I go, what is your favourite song and why? What song saved your life when you was at your lowest? Like I said, A-OK was mine. Or Jack K's Bottom of the Bottle. Because there's one line in there is like, I stand strong. And that line basically summed me up. Even though I was at rock bottom, even though I was, you know, dying to have another drink, that one line is, yeah, it was very powerful. But the song, the whole song would be A-OK by Ty Verdes. I've probably listened to it over 1,000 times. The hours on that I must have done from 2021 to 2024. Like, it's still in my playlist now, and every time it comes on, it's just a little reminder. And I also use it as a sign. So like, if I see it on like someone's number plate or something, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing okay. So I am going to get it tattooed. I am going to get it tattooed on me. I don't know where I'm going to get it tattooed to, but I am going to get it tattooed on me. Is on my mission. I was thinking about it the last couple of days, and yeah, it's one of them songs that's really inspired me. So maybe this might inspire you to get a permanent version of your favorite song, or a song that saved you. Don't have to be a tattoo. It could be literally you get it framed, or a tattoo, or you write it down every day, or I don't know. But there's got to be one line or a song that's really made a difference to your life. So yeah, that's just my little ramble about how powerful music can be. There's so many different things we could talk about, you know, like how people used to use it to get through the hard times, and like where music really come from. But music lives inside us all. Music, the rhythm, the beat, it lives inside us all. If you listen to nature, there is music to be heard constantly. The birds singing, the breeze in the wind, every noise that is made is a gift. It can be music of some form, you know, and it's when things appear together that it really becomes beautiful. So thank you very much for listening to this episode of Spiritual Crash. Once again, I've been your host, Gethin Mayers, and today we discovered the power of music. And I might cover it a little bit later on. In more detail. But yeah, so far, I feel confident that this is going to make a little bit of a change too. So thank you all so much for listening. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. Let's go and smash whatever life throws at us. You got this. And you just need to start believing in yourself. Peace.